What's up, everybody? This is Jesse, and you are watching Comic Conversation. I'm here with two folks. We have almost a full panel. We're missing Chris, but we do have Edwin and Justin. So, Edwin, Strictly Comics, and of course, Justin, Exile State Comics. So nice to have you guys here. We are, as you guys know, on a break. We're on our winter hiatus in between seasons, but when something comes up extra special, we want to bring that to you guys. So today we actually have an interview for you with Chip Reece. He wrote Metaphase, a graphic novel available in both print and digital, and it's available through Alterna Comics. So we're going to talk about that. He'll be joining us very shortly. We are here just for this interview. There's been a lot of news, so we're not going to be touching on that today. But in a couple of weeks, we will be back again for a Star Wars review, Star Wars The Last Jedi. And then basically 2 weeks after that, we'll be kicking off what I guess we can call our third season, our 2018 season. So we got this show here, be about 40 minutes to an hour, so a shorter show on our side of things. And then 2 weeks later, the Star Wars review. And then 2 weeks after that, kicking into 2018, we have our new season. So I'll wait till he gets here. I sent him the link. He should be here pretty shortly. So the reason this came about, I was actually heading to work one morning, busy old traffic, had my radio on, my tunes. It was actually a morning show based out of New York. Z100, Y100, whatever it is in your area. It's Elvis Duran, if you're familiar with him. And they were talking about just morning news, hot things of the day. And, you kind of get in that zone when you're driving in the morning, right? Like maybe you had your coffee, maybe you didn't. You're kind of like zoned out. But then one of the ladies, I think it was Danielle, she mentioned comic books. I'm like, whoop, that caught my attention. So then they were talking about this book that Chip wrote actually it's for his son, and I'm going to let him talk about it. But it is actually about a superhero with Down syndrome. And I think that's pretty amazing. We always talk about, and these are amazing as well, to have, representation for, black, white, there's gay, there's transgender, there's, different, races, different ethnicities, that are represented. But there is so much more other things as well. And if you think about it, Down syndrome, for example, all these other, things for special needs folks, perhaps. And these people, they read comics too. They want representation. They want somebody that they can identify with. And I think it's pretty amazing that he did this for his son. So I'm really excited to talk about that. I just felt really compelled to, once I heard about it on the radio, to kind of like reach out to him and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this a little bit more. So it's pretty cool. That this whole thing came about. So we are missing Chris. So I guess while we're waiting, you want to go ahead and give a couple updates for yourselves. Feel free to. Okay, so we have a couple things coming up. I know I mentioned the things for this show, but on Sunday at 6 p.m., correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. 6 p.m. is episode 10 of Affordable Auction, and that will be only on Strictly Comics YouTube channel. So you'll find us there, slanging some books. We got some good stuff, some really good stuff. If he hasn't shown you the teaser, the images of what is going to be available, check him out. Edwin puts them up on Instagram. You will be super excited when you see some of this stuff. There's some really good stuff, and this will be the last actually affordable auction of the year. So you're really going to want to check this out. And even if you don't want to buy something, just to hang out with us, it's cool. Just chatting, shooting the poo with the guys and all that good stuff. So that'll be fun. And also for this interview, we will be creating an article on Comic Booked, with this in it, as well as some some more writing around it. And we'd like to put in the questions and stuff. So feel free, if you're here with us in the chat, to ask some questions. Who knows, that might be included in the article. So good way to get your name in print. Woo. And that's going to be comicbooked, booked.com. That'll be probably, I'd say, if not this weekend, into the following week when you'll be able to see that. But don't wait for that. There's plenty of articles going up there all the time. For example, Justin made the new comic list this week. A lot of good stuff on there, so definitely check that out. We do have a few people here with us already. Got to give some shout outs to Jackio. Big E's Comics is here. Gomez Comic Collector. Bam. Mr. Cream. Ray D, Comics and Geekery. Nice to have you here with us as well. And we have a few others as well. I saw Iron Galactus earlier. All right, super cool. And a few people watching that aren't chatting, so that's cool. Probably just chilling with the sound going in the background. So there is that. I do want to say that there are in the description to this a couple links. One of them is going to be for Comixology. So if you are so inclined, feel free to click on the link. There's previews. There's more looks. You can see on the screen here, some stuff for the book. But if you wanted to buy it, there's Comixology and also Etsy. They sell through Etsy, and they're I believe last time I checked, kind of low supply there. So act quick. And then I also put up a link for Alterna Comics, who's the publisher. And Alterna is pretty cool. I know, it's one of the indie folks out there, indie folks, meaning indie publishers. And they're doing some cool stuff, above and beyond just writing, good quality books. There was a lot of heat on The Chair, for example. That was a recent book, horror genre comic that came out recently. But they do some cool stuff. Like they brought back the newsprint, paper instead of like the slick, paper that Marvel uses. A lot of people really liked the feel of, the older books when they were using like the 4-color printing and stuff. And you saw like the little dots and just the feel and the smell of the paper. So they brought that back. And I believe they also recently signed a contract, maybe just with Barnes & Noble, maybe with some of the other book retailers as well. But they are doing newsstand. So DC recently dropped out of that. So between like, say, Alterna and I guess Bongo, they're really kind of holding down on the newsstand side of things. So there's really kind of only a couple there. And I've always argued that that's really an important aspect of, the biz, good, strong newsstand market. And I know for myself, and I think Justin, you mentioned it once before, that's kind of how we got into comics, right? The newsstand and the spinner racks and things like that, picking up books, So yeah, so I've just been rambling. You guys want to?
No, we've just been enjoying it.
Okay. I got my flow going and I just went.
Right. No, yeah, there weren't direct editions back then. Like, no. I don't know anybody who's like got their first comic book from a comic book store,
Exactly.
Maybe now. Crap, my nephew probably is one of those, but that's my fault.
You did.
Like, no, we're going to the store. All right. Yeah.
But you went to the store before you actually found out about the comic books. That was the comic book shops.
Oh yeah,
that was my introduction. Was like the gas station and stuff.
Yep.
7-Eleven and whatnot.
Yeah.
I remember there was a corner shop that was kind of like right around the corner from where my aunt lived. And I was probably like 5, 6, 7 or so at the time, maybe at the best, probably 5. But she would still have me go to this little corner store and like pick up stuff for her, like a soda or something like that. And that's where I really kind of got my intro. And like my reward was, if I go get her a Coke, here's a buck or $1.25 here, pick up a comic, So there was one time I was kind of lazy because I was kind of like reading the book while I was heading back to her house, which is, it wasn't that far, but, walking around the corner. So I'm like, okay, well, I need 2 hands to read. But I got to carry the Coke. So what do I do? And I had this great idea to kick the can all the way back. So it was all dented up. It was all dirty. And I handed it to her and she's like, did you did you drop this? And I'm like, no. So she told me to go open it outside, and then of course I just sprayed all over the place. But that was one of my earlier memories of not behaving and reading comics. So,
but I tried real hard.
That's right. I mean, I did. I brought her the soda, which is what she wanted. But she didn't say bring it in good condition.
Yeah, it didn't mention condition. You didn't say near mint.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Actually, if I could share my screen just for a quick second.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me just stop mine.
Okay, like Jesse said, well, that's the service. Let me see here. Yes, tomorrow maybe the last one, or not tomorrow, Sunday may be the last affordable auction, but I'm thinking about sprinkling in a couple here and there just because I got so much stuff that I think I can auction off. But I figured out I'm going to do 3 giveaways. One of the giveaways that I know of is Infinity War 1 through 6, the complete 6-issue run, which is currently going for about 40 or 50 bucks now on eBay ever since that trailer dropped.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I'm going to give away a couple other giveaways. I'm not really sure what it's going to consist of, and then also we're going to be raffling off that Marvel graphic novel number 4 signed by Bob McLeod and Chris Claremont. And just like Jesse said, please follow me on Instagram, because probably tonight I will be posting up pictures of everything that's going to be in the auction over the course of the next 4 days. And I'm actually working on a video right now that I'm going to upload on my YouTube channel, kind of showcasing all the books that are going to be in the auction Sunday as well. So you're not going to want to miss out, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. Buy someone a gift. Buy yourself something nice for the holidays.
Buy yourself something pretty.
Yeah, a little something I got my eye on.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris?
Oh, look who graced us with his presence.
Yeah, no, baby stuff like that. So
blame it on the baby. Blame it on the baby.
It's true. It happened. I mean, 90% of everything that goes on now, it's just like, I just be like, oh, and baby was doing this, baby was doing that. She's the boss now. Like, I have to answer to her. I go home, I think I'm done with my job and away from my next boss. Next thing I know, the boss is on something else. I'm sorry.
Nice. So, what's new with you? What's been going on in Buckshot Town?
Or
Beantown, whichever.
A lot of just work and stuff like that. Pretty much, same old, just working. Trying to play with the baby and everything like that. She's about to be 8 months old. Like that's actually tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Saturday. Saturday she'll be actually officially be 8 months old. So keeping up with her because she's very deceptively trying to learn how to crawl. So you'll watch her and all of a sudden she'll be across the bed like, whoa, hey, come back here. So she's learning how to get mobile. So it's just like now you got to be a little bit more active and trying to make sure that you're ahead of her before she starts getting her plans in her head to do whatever she wants to do. But other than that, just kind of chilling out and just keeping an eye on different things going on in the comic world, and then getting a couple back issues here and there where I can. So just kind of manage all that plus Christmas and everything else. So
yeah, cool. I haven't actually gotten too many back issues recently. I've been trying to save up for a biggie that's been on my list for a while. So trying to kick off 2018 with a big old shebang.
Well, I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to put on my top 10 list. I have pretty much a very long list of stuff that I want to get, and just narrowing it down to 10 is getting to be a little bit tough. It's just like I don't know, what's
Make 2 lists. Make the unrealistic list and the realistic list.
Well, that's
2 videos.
That's like your lifetime list. Like, this is hopefully what I'll get in the course of my collecting career. This is what I want this year.
but it's so hard because you want it all, you know. you know, and it's just like just trying to figure out. It's not too bad. Like I've done good with trying to be as realistic as I can with everything. So that's what makes it tough because like, I just want to narrow these ones down. But I think I'm gonna settle on a few X-Men from you know, the Byrne Claremont run, and then you know, hopefully we'll see. But you know, Thanos Quest 1 and 2, and then we'll see what else. I think I might try to finish up a couple other runs too as well. So maybe I won't have maybe that'll help me to kind of narrow it down and be like, all right, focus big time on these ones, and then just kind of, you know, throw in a, you know, couple extras here and there. But for the most part, just kind of stay a little bit more focused and try to, you know, not so much just be like, oh, good deal on this, let's get this. It's just like, you know, no, let's just focus on getting these ones done, because, you know, I still haven't both in last year and this year, because this year is coming to a close pretty quickly, and I have a couple more left to get, and I don't think I'm gonna get all 10 of them, which is fine. But last year I came very close to getting all 10. I just had 1 or 2 books that were just way too unrealistic for me at the time. So we'll see, but hopefully I can get all 10. But
hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. Where are you guys at on yours? Have you guys finished out, or are you guys kind of, you know, are you guys kind of still trying to get those last few stragglers, or are you guys all set with your top 10s?
For 2018?
No, 2017. No.
Oh, I missed a couple. See, the past couple years, I've just kind of like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a list. So I would sit down and write a list right then. And it was kind of like what I was interested right at that second. So I had a couple of things on my list that, yes, I want, but I'm okay with not having got, because I've kind of like moved a little bit past that. So what I've tried to sort of do is take some time to think about the list before I put it together, and just really make sure that there's things that I would want to have on there, you know, throughout the year. You know what I mean? So it's more than just the whim of what I was in my head right at the time, you know? So.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. That's why I'm glad I'm thinking about it now, and I have a pretty good list made up. So I was just like, you know what, let me take this last couple weeks to kind of really narrow it down, and then, you know, hammer it out and figure out exactly what it is. And then that's what I'll present to everybody and be like, all right, these are the books I'm getting, or at least going to try to get, you know, for next year, my top 10. And then if I do complete it, you know, I get more to throw on there. So kind of a continuation. So
I saw Skeletor.
That's right. Skeletor's in the mix.
Awesome. All right. We have Mr. Chip Reece here with us. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Sorry for the delay. I finally had to abandon the computer and just use the phone.
Okay. No worries there. I know tech difficulties are the bane of our existence, right?
Right.
So I have the panel here. We have Justin. You want to say hi? Edwin.
I was on mute. Sorry. Hey, how's it going? Good to meet you.
And Chris as well.
How you doing?
Our man from Beantown.
Howdy.
Yeah. So thanks for doing this. This is a really something special. So I really wanted to you know, to be able to talk with you here. I was telling them the way I found out about this was recently driving to work, and actually heard about your book on the radio. It was on like Z100, you know, one of the nationally syndicated shows, and they were talking about it, and it just really seemed like I just felt really compelled to want to reach out to you and, you know, be able to chat about this. It just seemed like such a cool concept, and, you know, the fact that you did this, you know, for family and everything, I just think it's pretty awesome there. So yeah, so you know, kind of doing some research afterwards, I found out that the book, it was made in 2015. Is that right? It was a couple years back.
Yeah, it officially released in the summer 2015.
Okay, cool. So and also looking, I kind of saw it was, you know, picked up articles with like CBS and ABC and NBC. So how did it come about to be in the news, I guess, in the past couple of weeks here? Was there anything that was like a push that you did, or did they just kind of find their attention in that direction?
Yeah, it was completely random. I was at a local Comic-Con, and I know the con organizers, and they had one of the local news stations show up. um, and it was like towards the end of the show. I had Ollie with me, my son with me, and he'd kind of had enough of being there. Sitting in one place for a long time is not his thing at all. But so the news people showed up. They asked the organizers if they had someone they could talk to that kind of had a story behind the comics, not just about the comics. So they approached me, and I initially actually said no, because Ollie was not in the best mood at the time. But the person that did the interview just kind of pushed through him and came over to my table anyways and said, well, here's what we're going to do. She basically just laid it out and kind of pushed me into it. And my son ended up doing great for it. He was perfectly fine, but it's just crazy because it's something I almost didn't do. And because of that little interview, it's just blown up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's literally everywhere. I mean, all the main news broadcasts and news sites that they've all done a piece on it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I have more stuff coming up. There's a big thing coming next week. The NBC Nightly News crew is flying out here to follow my son around in school, and it's going to do an interview with me as well. So it hasn't quite stopped yet. I thought it was fading out a little bit, and suddenly something else pops up. So I guess I don't know when this is gonna taper off yet.
Hey, ride it while it's here, right?
Yeah,
right.
Just enjoy the ride. That's what I say.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm not complaining. It's just funny timing. The book came out 2 years ago. I just questioned, like, why didn't it catch on at the time that it came out? I guess you just can't control these things, and you just got to roll with it. It's doing good things for the book. It's doing good things for getting as far as sales and traction. And I don't know, it may be possible that we're going to be able to pay for the next book without having to do a fundraiser. That would be awesome.
Nice. Very cool.
So that was what I was kind of wondering. Could you kind of tell us, like, how this, I mean, I know it was 2 years ago, but from concept to actually getting someone to publish it and things like that, can you kind of walk us through that process that you went through?
Yeah. So starting out, I had no idea what I was doing. Besides that, I was working for a website called stashmycomics.com, just voluntary. I was doing some interviews with people, but really was catching on at the Kickstarter thing and was interviewing creators with that and promoting projects. Well, then around that time, we found out that my son was going to have Down syndrome. And so looking and preparing for all that, I started looking for prominent characters in comics that had Down syndrome, and I couldn't find anything at all. So we had my son. We went through a bunch of medical stuff with him. That first year, he had 3 open heart surgeries. He had a tracheotomy. He has a G tube. He went through quite a bit of stuff. But when that all started calming down, I came back around to the comic thing and decided that maybe if something was going to happen, it was maybe up to me, and just kind of figure out how to do that. My intention at first was just to do a little teaser comic. The initial teaser was just kind of a bookend, just kind of a little introduction and then kind of a little ending thing to it. Connected with an artist who I had actually come across while doing Kickstarter promotions, Kelly Williams. He was working with Christian Sager at the time on The Cabinet, which is a horror comic. And Kelly, if you're not familiar with his work, he is typically drawing horror books.
I'm not familiar with him, but that was actually the biggest thing that stood out to me was the artwork. And I noticed that he does the coloring, the inking, and the pencils as well.
Yeah, he actually did the entire book digital. He kind of went against his normal grain as far as how he draws. He normally works in ink and watercolor. But the biggest thing that stood out to me with him and why I approached him was the way he does character faces and expressions. I feel like he could do a lot of justice there. And lucky for me, I approached him and he was interested. And then when I after that happened, then I started just on Twitter. I was just asking questions because I knew a bunch of comic people. Like, where do I start? Like, how do I get a printer? How do I guess what's the best way to go there? That kind of thing. And Peter Samedi, who's the guy behind Alterna Comics, he happened to catch a tweet, told me to email him. I did that, and from that email, he asked me to give him like a little sentence pitch about what I was doing. Did that, and right there, he said he wanted to publish the book and
Nice.
wanted me to expand on the story. So, at the time it was just 10 pages, it was bookends. And he was like, hey, why don't you make a full graphic novel out of this, and I'll take it on. So that was where the challenge started, and where the story grew and became a little bit more than what I had initially intended. So,
So how did Ollie react to this when he first read it or first saw, some of the artwork or?
Well, he likes books in general. He doesn't discriminate on any as far as books go. He doesn't have the ability to communicate precisely what he thinks and feels. He's nonverbal. He does sign. He gets excited about certain books, and this year is the first year that he really showed that he understood it was about him. He does this thing where he points at the thing that's him, and then he points at himself, meaning he sees himself. And our picture's in the back of the book as well, so I always show him that. But so he's 7 now. I started putting the book together when he was a little over a year old. So it's taken that long for him to kind of catch that it's about him.
Oh wow!
But like I said, he's just as excited for this book as he is for Little Blue Truck. I mean, like I said, he doesn't discriminate on any books. He just loves books.
Nice. No, I think we're all with him on that. We all love books. So, actually, I wanted to kind of ask you about that. There's different, a song or a single piece versus sequentials or other mediums. So obviously you picked comic books, graphic novels. So have you always been a comic book collector and fan yourself, or how did you get into that on the professional side of things?
Yeah, totally just a fan. I mean, since as far back as I can remember, starting with picking up Spider-Man at the convenience store, picking up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the Ben Franklin, which I think it's basically like a dime store, until getting older and being able to afford my own comic books. I took a small break in college just because I couldn't afford anything, and then back at it. I got married, and then I told my wife, I'm like, guess what? I like to read comic books. Hope that's okay. And then she was cool with it, kept reading, and my tastes have changed over time. And Metaphase is a little indicative of, I guess, what I was into at the time. I was into superhero comics. I've kind of moved into more indie stuff at this point, but I think you could probably tell a lot of the influences with Metaphase, story-wise, with the superhero stuff. But yeah, just forever comic fan.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We were talking just before you came on about just picking up books that you see when we were younger, just finding something out and just something that cool cover, Turtles cartoon, and hey, there's a Turtles book, cool, let me get that. And that was kind of like the gateway into the whole world. So it's
oh yeah, definitely
neat. Yeah. We have a question from somebody in the chat. He's actually an indie creator himself. He writes a book. He's from up in Canada. He was wanting to see if you had any insight or tips for folks like himself who would want to submit to a company like Alterna. Anything in particular that they should do or you kind of prepare for?
Well, I'll say my journey into comics is a little, I would say it's not the normal route of things. I just kind of stumbled into stuff, got lucky. Yeah. And for I guess the thing probably to do before you submit anywhere is to get on the website of the publisher, read what their submission guidelines are, and follow the instructions. You should if you want to get some advice, I suggest that you follow Peter Samedi. He's the guy behind Alterna Comics, and he is very outspoken about proper ways to submit, what not to do. He'll just tell it. He'll tell you like it is. But in general, I think publishers do not like people to go around the process. It can quickly turn them off from whatever it is you're doing. So unless you have some connection and a really good connection with somebody, I say always follow the instructions of the publisher for submitting.
Okay. That makes complete sense. Yeah. And talking about connections, actually, I know a lot of people sort of link up. They have portfolio reviews and things like that with conventions. Have you done the convention scene at all, or have you?
I have done the convention scene. I haven't done any portfolio reviews. It's a little different with writers.
Yeah.
Comic books is all about the artists, as it should be. So that's where all the focus is. And as far as portfolio reviews and everything, it's all about the artists at shows. I've never been involved with any of that. I'm just not really the ambitious type when it comes to making a career out of comics. I just want to do my own thing, do stuff that's basically for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little different, I think, when it comes to that scene. But I will say, as far as on the writing perspective, a good way to get your feet wet is to look out for a lot of anthology things that are going on. Like, for instance, Alterna has anthologies. You can find all kinds of stuff out there if you just look for it. But you can get your feet wet pretty quick by writing some short stories, working with different artists. And that's, I guess, a good way to break in and kind of get used to how things go.
Cool. I like it. Good answer there. So kind of curious, how do you, so you're trying to create a character that, represents somebody very specific, right? How do you, with a superhero, decide what power set to go with, or how do you pick kind of the biography in particular that you did there, or you just kind of went with get away from there?
You cut out a little bit. I heard.
Yeah, he's breaking up.
All right, so
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, so I was asking, how do you, if you're creating a superhero for a very specific person, or trying to fit a certain sort of representation, how do you pick the power set for the character?
Well, I guess my initial start with this, with the Ollie character in the book, is I really wanted to have something different as I could be, which is almost impossible. Just about every power has been explored out there. I think I have something really different in this first book. It comes across as more of a teleportation type power, but that's not really the full extent of his power. That's going to be explored more in the next book, and I can't give too much away. I don't want to give that away, but it is. I feel like it's very different. But the dad in the book is your Superman, archetype.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of use that as a just to show the difference between someone who's all powerful and has all these abilities, and then he has a son that's super vulnerable. That was kind of my goal there, was to show that extreme difference. And then all these powers are just different. I guess that's all I can really say about that. But yeah, it basically in the first book, it's kind of a teleportation sort of power, but there's a lot more to that coming.
Which we can't get details on just yet, right?
Yeah.
We got another question from the chat here.
Mhm.
Comically Flawed asks, a good buddy of the show here, asked, where'd you come up with the name for the book, or what's the significance of the name?
It comes from so there's an organization in the book that says that it can give anybody powers, and it uses chromosome tampering, and they just using the term metaphase out of that
Gotcha.
aspect of it. They call their characters that have powers metas from the word metaphase. So
Gotcha.
that's
You said
basically it.
tampering, so that doesn't sound good.
No, it's playing with
It's
fire.
not, you didn't say genetic enhancement. You said tampering.
No, genetic tampering. Right. Well, and you'll find too that the motives of the villain in the book is to basically use that as a front to try to take down Ollie's dad, who's the superhero at the start.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it sounds amazing.
Well, thanks.
And yeah, like I like obviously I haven't been able to read it myself, but I've looked at like the preview art that we got, and we got like kind of a synopsis of the story and everything. And yeah, it looks really. I mean, it looks like a book that if you see it at the shop, you're gonna pick it up. You know, that you got to check it out just to find out what this book's about. Even before you read the story. So it's definitely something out there that needs to be in more people's hands. Yeah.
Well, I think so too.
Absolutely.
And he might have come across a niche also, because everybody's always looking for another niche that nobody else is doing, and this is definitely something different. I know when I used to get a whole bunch of comics that I just really didn't want anymore, or I would buy large collections and just kind of get rid of the not the junk, but the stuff that I wouldn't read so much anymore. I would actually take a lot of them to the and I would give a lot of the comics to the children's hospital. And I was told, like, the second time around, that the kids, by one of the doctors, that the kids absolutely loved it, and they were always wondering like when I was going to bring more. So your story kind of reminds me of that a little bit, and maybe your story could end up in the hands of children and children's hospitals as well, because I'm pretty sure that would at least be some relatability there, or and inspire some kids probably as well. But the story and the art, I've liked it a lot. I was really impressed just with the facial expressions by Kelly, like you had mentioned before. I think it's a great idea, man. I could definitely see you doing some really big things with this whole concept here, like beyond more than just like a handful of issues as well.
Well, thanks. That's what I intend. Money, of course, is the biggest barrier when doing an indie book like this, and it's looking more hopeful right now with the attention that we're getting. So I hope to go further with it. I don't have any plans to stop if I don't have to.
Right.
Very cool. Do you think you'd go the Kickstarter route, or have you considered that?
I mean, we used Kickstarter for the first book. It was pretty successful, I thought, for me being a nobody and try winging it for my first time. The initial goal was like 6,500 for black and white. The extended goal was I think it was maybe close to 9,000. We ended up getting 9,600, so we could make the book color. The Kickstarter was a lot of work, and I work full time. I'm a social worker by trade. Job keeps me really, really busy. So when I ran that Kickstarter back then, it was pretty stressful. It's not something I look forward to returning to. So if we can make enough money on this, I don't want to go back to Kickstarter, but maybe I could at least pay for the book to be made and then just use Kickstarter for distribution and printing fees. That would be amazing. The goal would be less, the stress would be less. So yeah, it's a possibility that we may return to that. I'm not against it, just I really don't want to.
No, fair enough. It's something we ask everybody, and I know you have a great creative team, like who you're working with right now. But is there anybody out there working in the field that you would be that you'd love to work with, or that you'd hope to one day pair up with?
I don't know. I guess I'm pretty smitten with Kelly Williams with this, and like I said, I'm not super ambitious when it comes to doing a lot of stuff. I do love Jim Lawson's style. Got him to do uh, uh, incentive cover for the Kickstarter when we did that. If you guys are familiar, he's did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. He took over that and did that for like 25 years after Laird and Eastman were moving on. So I like his style. I feel like he's a super underused guy. He's always happy just doing his own thing. And I think he would be cool to work with on some stuff.
Nice. So we actually added into the description for this video a couple links. One is for Comixology, right? You can order it for digital, right? Pretty much any time. Those copies don't run out; they're digital. But also Etsy as well. And it looked like there was only a few copies left there. Is that correct? Or
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I sent Peter a little bit of what I had left, and I shipped the rest to our distributor, which goes out to Amazon and all the different stores and stuff. So we are completely out of our original print, which was 1,500 copies.
okay,
And I was told that we have somewhere like 800 back ordered right now
oh wow,
on Amazon, and they're asking for us to print a bunch more. So we actually just put in a new order for books, and that'll probably take a few weeks turnaround. And the best place to get physical copies will be Amazon and your big stores that you can order it through.
Okay, very cool. So go to your local comic shop and say, hey, order this book for me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you do that. Barnes and Noble, I think, will order it. Yeah, if people are watching this and they're like, well, how long is this going to take? I don't know 100%, but we're hoping a few weeks turnaround on the printing. And if you got a book ordered on Amazon, you're waiting, it'll come eventually.
Nice. Yeah, I know I've ordered some things from Amazon in the past and kind of forgot about them. But sure enough, they always show up
Right.
one way or another. They always get there. So have faith in that process. So,
Right.
Very cool. I guess I know you said you couldn't share anything in terms of the actual story, but how much farther in advance have you plotted out the script, or where you want to go with the story? Are you kind of like thinking like a 5-issue arc, or have you? Because I know some people will write like, way out, 20 books out, or some people will just do an issue out at a time and not quite sure where they want to go with the story. So I don't know where you fall on that spectrum.
No, I haven't written a full script. I basically just plotted it out. I'm not going to write several books into the future. I'm the type that's writing one at a time.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not your typical creator. If you told me in 2010 I'd be writing a book, I would have told you were crazy. And then 2011 happened, and I wrote a book. So, I don't think I probably follow a normal process of things. But yeah, I do have a story plotted out. I've worked on it in bits and pieces. I haven't been super committed to it because of the whole funding thing, as well as time right now. My wife's in school full time, so pretty much I get off of work and then I take over Ollie duties. Well, so my wife can think clearly. So my goal was when she was done with school next summer, I'd go full time into getting stuff out. But yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I think I just rambled.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's definitely good. All right, very cool. And I'm waiting to see. I think a couple folks had a couple questions here at the chat for us. Okay, I guess for Rebel Comics, he was the one who asked the question earlier about reaching out to Peter Samedi, or not reaching out to him, but tips, and that was your suggestion for him. What's the best way to go about getting in touch with him? I mean, could I add him down in the description for folks, or reach out to him through social?
Follow him on Twitter, follow him on Facebook. Anybody or any publisher that you're interested in getting in with, I think it's always a good idea to follow the people involved.
Mm-hmm.
but I super stress going on those websites and reading what their submission policy is. But
Yeah.
the more that you can be connected with people, the more chances you're going to have people noticing you. Keep, as far as artwork goes, and I know it's funny for me to say this because I'm not an artist, but keep working, keep putting stuff out there. Eventually, people notice, and that's about all you can do. There's a lot of luck involved, I think, when it comes to this field. But yeah, that's my suggestion, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, you'd mentioned, you got something coming up with like NBC soon, and as this was kind of all happened because you were at a show. Do you have any con plans coming up, or is there a good place where people can follow you or reach out to you and see what you're doing?
I don't have any con plans specifically, but people can always follow me on Twitter and Facebook and see what's up. There is a Metaphase fan page on Facebook that you can follow as well. I don't feel like pages on Facebook get a lot of traction, but that's new. So yeah, anything that's happening in my world, I'm gonna share that route, and I may show up at a show. You never know.
Right.
I'll definitely
Any
be at
Instagram?
Air Capital Comic-Con. It's in town.
What Comic-Con?
It's called Air Capital Comic-Con. It's here in Wichita.
Okay, gotcha. Do you have an Instagram as well, or no?
I don't.
Okay.
I've never given into the Instagram.
It'll suck you in. Don't do it.
I have a Tumblr that I never use.
I have a question. I mean, and this might be something where the answer is kind of obvious, but being that this is, really more of a personal project, is something that you yourself, created as far as the story and everything like that. Did you basically have complete creative control being on Alterna, or is there anything where they tell you like maybe you should switch this or change this? Is it something where you feel that like maybe like do you feel it's something that you would let somebody kind of alter a little bit here and there, or does it have to just come directly from you because it's a personal story type?
Honestly, I had complete control with that. Like Peter and Alterna, they didn't meddle in it at all. Besides Peter kind of giving me the shove into making it a full story. Kelly Williams was very helpful in developing the scenes and some of the story. There's a little interaction with the mom in the middle of the story. It's one of those things like I wrote it and I'm like, man, I didn't really give the mom any kind of a good role. And he made a suggestion, and we put in a page where there's a little interaction with the mom, and so it's a team effort. I was flexible, especially with the art. I wanted the experienced person, which was Kelly, to have freedom to do things right. So I wasn't going to be like, if Kelly had a way to do it or an idea, I wasn't going to say, no, I don't like that. It's got to be my way. I felt like there was no reason for that because Kelly's the pro, and we worked together well, I think.
All right.
I also had a guy that I knew through doing StashMyComics.com that I trusted as an editor, and so he helped me not sound horrible as an inexperienced writer. That's Tom Hoffner. He's got his own books, Reece and Cookie McLeod is stuff that he's written. He also does some writing online as well.
That's cool. And just curiosity, like, with getting like media exposure and stuff like that, based on, news interviews and things like that, is there a point, I guess, at which that you kind of perceive the book getting like maybe like too big, whereas it's like, okay, this is what I set out to do, this is what I want to do, but it's kind of getting lost in everything else, is becoming bigger in scale than what I was looking forward to. Like, is that something that kind of worries you going forward, or?
I don't think that's going to affect anything so far. The attention it's getting has pretty much been, people are like, it's cool. I haven't been getting any people saying, can you do this? Can you do that? Why didn't you do this? So, so far it's been pretty chill. I didn't really have any great expectations with it, so I just keep getting blown away by the fact that it just keeps traveling like it is.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I said, we printed 1,500 copies initially.
Mhm.
At the time when we did that, I was like, this is 1,500 copies. I'm never gonna have to print books again. Like, there's no way we're selling 1,500 copies of this, and here we are. So it's just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to say congratulations on that, just because it's great to see it grow and get bigger. And I know, you know, as I was asking the question, I'm like, I feel like it's kind of a counterintuitive one, because just like, you know, to ask somebody, are you afraid of seeing it get, you know, to a point where it's just like, of course everybody wants to see it grow, but I figured because it's something organic and personal, that like, that, you know, there may be a point where it's just like, okay, like this is kind of varying off from what I wanted to do with it. Let's kind of just stick within that same wheelhouse and then keep going, you know?
Yeah. No, I don't feel like that's happened. I do feel like it's gone a little with all the attention. I'm kind of like, all right, this is cool, but maybe it's a little bit more than I can handle.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I'm doing okay right now.
How has you know, doing interviews, and I don't know if you do you know, on camera or if it's, you know, over the phone or what have you, but how has Ollie been adapting to that, those new changes?
He hasn't been on camera. Well, okay, no, he was, well, with the initial interview that started all this, of course, he was there. I thought he was going to be hard to deal with during that, and he surprised me, and he was awesome and super cute, and that's, I think, why this all kind of blew up. He's the scene stealer. But other than that, we did do a morning show locally, and so that was live. That was kind of funny because they had him, it was just kind of sitting in chairs around a table talking, and pretty much immediately Ollie turned around and he had his back to the camera the whole time, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They had a screen behind us, and he was fixated on the screen. So he's pretty much just oblivious to the attention. He doesn't understand that what's going on. As much as I show it to him, he's basically like, okay, where's my cars? Where's my ball? I want to throw the ball. You know,
Yeah.
he's just like, whatever, neat, there I am. Okay, can we move on? Oh, yeah, it's he's been fine. We'll see about Monday, because that's going to be a pretty big deal where they're following us all day long.
Right.
That'll be
Yeah,
the real
so they're going to
test.
be following him to school and stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's 100% how it's going to go, but
Yeah.
they're talking about getting us set up with stuff in the car on the way there, and stuff in the school. They're going to follow him around in school a little bit. So,
Wow.
yeah, it'll be different.
Yeah. Well, I think this is, you know, pretty amazing. One of the reasons that, you know, it really kind of hit home for me is I've had some, you know, folks in my family with special needs, and, you know, just a couple of them are no longer with us. One of them actually was my brother. But just the idea of the representation, we always talk about, you know, diversity, you know, with comics, and creating somebody that everybody can identify with, you know, a hero or a character, you know what I mean? So there's so much more than just kind of the big ones, the obvious ones. And this is one of those. And just the fact that you were able to do this for your son, you know, doing something that you love, you know, using one of your hobbies and one of your talents to create something like this for him is just really special and really awesome. And as soon as I heard about it, I was like, wow, that is really cool. That's such a good story. And I think for a lot of people, it really touches their heart in that way. And one of the big reasons why it has been traveling so much is word gets out, because it hits you in the heart, you know? So it's a really good story. And
Well, thank you.
You know, yeah.
I appreciate it. It's,
Yeah, absolutely.
I also I hope that people seeing stuff like this, talking about this book, that they know that all you have to do is, like, if you have an idea, you want to see something that represents you or represents somebody that you know and love, you just got to go do it.
Mhm.
I didn't know I had no idea what I was doing, and here we are. So you just gotta start putting stuff down on paper, and who knows what the heck will happen with it.
Absolutely.
So I hope it inspires maybe some people to do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure this will inspire other folks to, do something similar. So maybe you started something there. I don't know. I'm sure you started something. So it's a good thing.
Well, I hope.
Very good thing.
Yeah. Good advice. If you got an idea, write it down.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Follow your heart, follow your passion, your interest there. And, don't try not to let the naysayers and the people get in your way and tell you can't do it,
All right.
So.
Yep, you'll hear that.
Yeah, exactly. So we added the links in, like I said, so we definitely want folks to check this out. The links are down in the description. If you're listening to this later, via iTunes or, Google Play, streaming is through the podcast there. Definitely come over here to YouTube. The links are all in the description. Check out Alterna Comics, check out Amazon, Etsy, and Comixology as well. It's in all these places. And of course, as you were saying earlier, through your local comic shop as well. So there are a lot of avenues for you to access this, a lot of ways you can read it and be a part of this and support, the book and Chip as well. So please do that. And I just want to say, again, thanks for doing this. I know you're super busy. Like you said, this is kind of blown up. So I'm sure a lot of people have reached out to you kind of all at once. So I appreciate you being here with us. But any kind of like, final thoughts you want to leave folks with, or, a call to action, or, something along those lines for the listeners?
I don't know. Just I think I already said it before. Just if you got an idea, I don't know, just put it down and try to make something happen with it. You don't have to be a pro. I don't think that I'm a good writer by any means. So, but I just wanted to do something for my kid, and here we are. So if you feel the same way, just go ahead and give it a try. You don't know what'll happen.
Very true.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, this has been Chip Reece, an interview with Chip Reece, writer of Metaphase. This has been really fantastic. Again, check out the book. The links are everywhere. And feel free to let us know down in the comments as well, or send us a message if you're listening to this streaming. Send us a message and let us know what you thought of it. We definitely want to hear what you think of it, and get the word out there as well. So do your part for it too. Read it and then tell people about it. So that's what you can do for it. So that's it. This has been Comic Conversation and an interview with Mr. Chip Reece. Thanks for being here, and thanks everybody for listening and watching. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Have a good
Chip.
night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.